statutory appropriation bill for FCT to Senate. PDP Southeast Zonal Executive Committee threatens to reconsider its relationship with the party if its nomination of Sunday Udelkoye as National Secretary is not considered. On the foreign scene, United States President Donald Trump announced a series of deals with Qatar. Good evening, this is News at 7 on Western Spring Television. I am Timitope Ajijolaoluwaola. The Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB, has admitted that there were errors that affected the performance of candidates during the 2025 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination held across different centers in the country. The Registrar, Ishak Oloyede, who disclosed this during a media briefing in Abuja on Wednesday, also broke down in tears while admitting to the errors. He also announced that about 379,997 candidates on the just concluded academic exercise would retake the examination. Thus followed widespread complaints of technical glitches, unusually low scores, and alleged irregularities in the questions and the answers during the exercise.
All this suddenly apologize for it.
The Minister of Education, Tunji Alausa, on Wednesday declared that there was no fraud uncovered in the student loan scheme. Alausa made this known at the end of a meeting held with vice chancellors, officials of the National Universities Commission, Nigerian Education Loan Fund, and the Federal Ministry of Education. The Minister of Education also described the statement put up by the Independent and Corrupt Practices Commission and other related offences as incorrect. Recently, ICPC said it commenced a comprehensive investigation into alleged discrepancies surrounding the disbursement of student loans under the Nigerian Education Loan Fund. The Commission said its preliminary findings revealed that while the federal government released 100 billion naira for the scheme, only 28.8 billion naira was disbursed to students, leaving 71.2 billion naira unaccounted for. Staying with education matters, the National Universities Commission, NUC, has granted Benue State a provisional license to establish a new state university. The Executive Secretary of NUC, Abdullahi Rabadu, presented the license to the state's Deputy Governor, Samuel Ode, who represented Governor Hyson Salia at the occasion on Wednesday. Rabadu said the institution, Benue State University of Agriculture, Science and Technology, located at Ihu in Vande Kaya local government area, Benue State, has become the second Benue State-owned university. It said the new addition brought the number of state-owned universities in the country to 68 and the total universities in Nigeria to 299. President Bola Tinubu has transmitted a proposed 1,783 trillion naira statutory appropriation bill for the FCT to the Senate for consideration and approval for the 2025 financial year. In his communication to the upper chamber on Wednesday, President Tinubu asked the Senate to give the bill expedited consideration, noting that its passage was critical to ensuring an effective and service-oriented administration for residents of the FCT. Responding to the request, the Senate invoked Order 78 to allow the bill to scale second reading the same day it was introduced. However, the accelerated process did not go without a grudge, as an opposition lawmaker, Senator Abdul Ningi, raised concerns about the procedure, pointing out that lawmakers had not been provided with copies of the bill prior to the debate. The Senate therefore began debate on the general principles of the FCT statutory appropriation bill for the 2025 fiscal year. The budget breakdown includes 150.35 billion naira for personal costs, 343.78 billion naira for overhead, and 1.29 trillion naira allocated for capital projects.
I hereby present the 2025 FCT budget proposal to the Senate for consideration. The 2025 FCT budget proposal prioritizes investment in healthcare services, job creation, youth empowerment, social welfare services, education infrastructure, as well as increasing productivity in agriculture. Our objective is to lift as many of our citizens out of poverty as we can. The Senate is invited to note that on the basis of revenue forecast for the FCT, a total expenditure of 1,783,823,708,392 naira is proposed for the year 2025. As such, 85% of the capital expenditure is dedicated to the completion of ongoing projects, while 15% is for new capital projects. This is to sustain the ongoing efforts of providing basic infrastructure and social amenities in the Federal Capital Territory. I hereby forward the 2025 FCT statutory budget proposal and trust that it will receive the expeditious consideration and passage by the Senate. Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded that we invoke Rule 78, subsection 1 to suspend the order of proceedings to enable the bill to be read a second time. Those who support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Yes, point of order, Senator Ningi.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Senator Abu Ningi, and I refer to the President and distinguished senators to Order 77, sub 3 and 4. And by your grace, I read sub 3. The President of the Senate shall forward such bills to the Committee of Rules and Business for publication in the schedule of bills in the order paper are registered in the register of bill. Number 4, which is not suspended, a printed copy of the bill shall, as soon as possible, be sent to every senator. Sent to every senator.
Yes, the colleague, Senator Ningi.
They are just bringing these copies now.
No, I don't explain. Your point of order is sustained. Now,
this is a money bill. Don't play with it.
The printed copy, the gazetted copy is being distributed to all senators. And just in line with Rule 77, it's already on the other paper equally. That's why.
While the Senate has confirmed the appointment of 5 resident electoral commissioners submitted by President Bola Tinubu in March for the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. The confirmation follows the receipt and consideration of reports by the chairman of Senate Committee on Electoral Matters during plenary on Wednesday. Presenting the report on behalf of the committee, Senator Simon Lalong urged the Senate to confirm the nomination of 5 individuals as resident electoral commissioners for the Independent National Electoral Commission, having passed the screening exercise. Tinubu had on Monday sworn 2 newly appointed INEC commissioners.
The committee is in respect of the screening as enumerated by the leader. The list is as placed by the leader. Already announced Umar Yusuf Garba Kanu, Said Saad Umar Idris Bauchi, Chukwu Emeka C. Ibezako, Anambra, Umar Mukhtar Borno, and Dr. Johnson Alalibo Sinikem from Bayelsa. We took in, the committee took in the methodology and the screening of the committees and took everything into consideration. Their resume, their working experiences, their career and progression, professional and personal interests, and the response to the questions. At the end of it, all of them passed through successfully. And so, if you look at it, you look at the details, and I will now go to the recommendations of the committee. All of them were qualified, all of them went through and passed, and therefore, the committee had no hesitation in making the following recommendations. So the following recommendations: that after carefully scrutinizing all the relevant documents of the nominees and due consideration of their level of exposure, experiences, performances, qualifications, and integrity, this committee hereby recommends as follows: that the Senate do confirm the nomination of the underlisted persons as resident electoral commissioners. 1. Umar Yusuf Garba from Kano, Saad Umar Idris from Bauchi State, Chukwuemeka C. Ibezako from Anambra State, Umar Mukhtar from Borno State, and Dr. Johnson Alibo Sinekem from Bayelsa State.
Mixed reactions have trailed plans by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to legalize voting in the 2027 elections without the need for permanent voters' cards, PVC. According to the Commission, this would help eliminate challenges surrounding PVC collection and also buying of voters' cards. However, while some citizens support the move, others fear it could be another means for electoral malpractice. Lydia Adegbaji completes the story.
As the momentum of the 2027 election gathers steam, series of electoral reforms are already in the works. This includes plans by the Independent National Electoral Commission to legalize voting without the need for a permanent voter's card, PVC. INEC recently expressed willingness to allow eligible Nigerians without PVCs to vote in the 2027 general elections. According to the Commission, this would help reduce costs, ease logistic burdens, and curb the misuse of voter cards. The initiative followed remarks by the chairman of the Commission, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, in a December 2024 quarterly consultative meeting with resident electoral commissioners. Professor Yakubu stated that although PVCs will remain valid for those who possess them, future elections could allow voters to use slips generated by INEC or downloaded from its official website for accreditation. However, mixed reactions have trailed this proposal. While some citizens believe the initiative is for the best, others feel the Nigerian government syndrome would jeopardize it. Mr. Ojo, a retiree, is one of those who believe in the latter, saying he is simply worried about the motive behind the reform and fears the implementation might not be as effective. He also criticized the sudden change of mind.
This country, to me, nothing works. In the sense that it could be perverted. So, really, I don't want to support it. I don't want to support it. It will give room for rigging, and I'm not in support of it. The PVC that was used last time, and the INEC said it was successful, it was okay. Why are they changing their minds about it now? That we can now vote without it. To me, I don't support it. I'm worried. I don't think it is genuinely taught.
Mr. Timothy Oyewusi, on his part, sees it as a welcome development as long as it would not be another avenue for rigging.
Government can do that because it is government. But for me, there should be a register of voters in each polling booth to ensure that the person who is appearing before the officials can ascertain that the person is actually qualified to vote. They don't use the cancellation to rig.
Explaining further on the benefits of this proposed reform, Professor Yakubu stated that it will help eliminate issues surrounding collection of PVC, as well as the diabolical practice of buying up cards from voters. Reacting to this, Mrs. Adedayo Olanrewaju simply prayed that God intervenes and walk through the hands of the authorities.
So tí ọba ti rà lọ́rùn ènìyàn tí Ọlọ́run ó lo ọkàn rẹ̀ fún wa ní kọ́lọ̀ kí gbogbo kó túbà kó túṣẹ̀ fún wa kára àánú Ọlọ́run gbà.
In the meantime, it is left to be seen whether this initiative will see the light of day, as INEC insists the move must be backed by legislative amendments. Lydia Adegbaju, Western Spring Television News.
Talking politics, the Southeast Zonal Executive Committee of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, on Wednesday threatens to reconsider its relationship with the party of its nomination of Sunday Udeokoye as the National Secretary of the party as not considered. The ZEC insisted that it has complied with the directive of the party's National Working Committee during that 600th meeting held at the party's national headquarters, Wadata Plaza, Wuse, Abuja, on April 29, 2025, that the Southeast ZEC of the party should nominate a candidate for the office of the National Secretary to serve out the remaining tenure zones to the region. It also urged the PDP and WC to uphold its decision at the 600th meeting on April 29, 2025, by ensuring that the Deputy National Secretary of the PDP functions as the acting National Secretary, pending the ratification of the nominee for the office of the National Secretary by NEC, in line with the recommendations of the PDP Governors Forum as adopted by the NWC. These were contained in a communique issued on Wednesday at the end of the Southeast PDP meeting held at the Government House, Enugu. The communique, which was signed by the Zonal Chairman, PDP Southeast, Anli Odefa, records that on March 21, 2025, the Supreme Court brought to a close the protracted legal tussle over the position of the National Secretary of the PDP.
The ZEC unanimously recommend Honorable Sunday Udeokoye as a candidate to complete the term of office of the National Secretary. 2. We also urge the NWC to uphold its decision at its 600 meeting on April 29, 2025, by ensuring that the Deputy National Secretary of PDP functions as the acting National Secretary pending the ratification of the nominee for the office of the National Secretary by the National Executive Committee of our great party, in line with the recommendations of the PDP Governors Forum and adopted by the NWC. The Southeast Zonal Executive Committee further noted that the zone has had to go through this process for the umpteenth time, unlike what obtains in the filling of vacant national offices by other zones.
Vice President Kashim Shettima on Wednesday said budgeting under President Bola Tinubu's administration is not for survival, but for economic transformation that guarantees sustainable growth. He stated this at the 15th Mechanical Engineering Distinguished Lecture organized by the Nigerian Institution of Mechanical Engineers in Abuja. Shettima, who noted that there was a nexus between engineering and governance, said budgeting could not be approached forcibly or based on emotions, but must be carefully handled in a way that guarantees results. According to him, just like engineering, where every bolt and nuts are accounted for, every dime has to be accounted for in every budget. Now to security. Troops of the 6th Brigade Nigerian Army, operating under Sector 3 of Operation Wild Stroke, have killed a suspected bandit and recovered an AK-47 rifle in Taraba State, according to the statement on Wednesday by the brigade's acting spokesperson, Captain Oni Olubodunde. The suspected bandit was neutralized during a clearance operation in Karim Lamido Local Government Council of the state. The development, according to the acting spokesperson, followed a recent strategic visit by the commander of 6th Brigade, Brigadier General Kingsley Uwa, to the Bandawa community. During the visit, the commander highlighted the need for enhanced in a related development. A peace meeting was held on May 12, 2025 to address growing tensions between communities in Kashimbala community and Tekum Council of Taraba and Jatoaka in Kwande Local Government Council of Benue State. The incessant clashes in the areas had resulted in attacks on motorists along the Kishimbala-Jatoaka road. The United Kingdom on Wednesday declared the security situation in Nigeria, describing it as worrisome. Briefing journalists at his residence in Abuja, the UK High Commissioner to Nigeria, Richard Montgomery, attributed the situation to spillovers from Sudan and Niger. Montgomery said the UK government was collaborating with the Office of the National Security Advisor, as well as through investments in security infrastructure to reduce it. He expressed concerns over cases of visa fraud in the country, stressing that the situation was connected to the recent cases of visa rejections. The envoy advised visa applicants to provide the right supporting documents to get a chance of approval. The Borno state government has arrested 73 underage children involved in substance abuse. The children were picked up from different locations, including Bulabolin, Kasua, and Gwange Kasangada. The Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Development, which led the exercise, explained that the action was a bold and decisive step to curb the growing menace of drug abuse and the involvement of children in unlawful activities on the streets of Maiduguri. The move followed the circulation of a disturbing video on social media showing a young boy, barely in his teens, openly admitting to abusing drugs. According to a statement from the Ministry of Wednesday, many of the children, aged between 12 and 15 years, were not only abusing substances, but also exposed to criminal activities. The Commissioner for Women Affairs and Social Development, Zuwaira Gambo, said the children were successfully taken off the streets and transferred to the Bulumkutu Rehabilitation Center in Maiduguri. You're watching news at 7 on Western Spring Television. Still to come, the Senate has launched an investigative hearing into the implementation of the federal character principle in public sector recruitment, which lawmakers expressing readiness to amend the existing law to address persistent imbalances. We will bring you more on this.